Georg Hamann said, poetry is the mother tongue of the human race, meaning poetry can be easily considered to be one of the greatest languages and obviously one of the most powerful achievements and creations of the human mind character that comes directly from the soul, heart, and clarity of character, intention, and purpose. And that means poetry holds enormous significance and has unbelievable yield about itself as well as in our lives, character, intention, and ultimately actions in one way or another. And that means poetry is paramount all by itself without any external requirements, dependencies, or reliances, because without poetry we just cannot express or communicate certain things that we feel desperately and miserably within ourselves and that find their finest expressions in the poetry that we create, compose, and write. So the emotions and the buried desires of love, jealousy, hatred, admiration, honor, etc. Find their finest and ultimate expression in the poetry that the poets write, and that we also sometimes manage to create and compose music and other forms of arts also portray and communicate our deepest feelings and heartstrings in one way or another. And that means poetry in that sense becomes paramount and cornerstone and key all by itself. Poetry again then is critical, indispensable, and inevitable for the expression of our deepest emotions and buried feelings. For some people or for ourselves, the miseries that we have had, those things can only be expressed through the adoption of arts such as music, poetry, writing, novels, etc. So poetry becomes the mother tongue of the human race. Poetry is not just about the language that in which it is written, but it's about the content, substance, significance, meaning that it contains about itself and that it brings to the table for all of us to understand and grasp and to make sense of. And that's why poetry again is one of the greatest foundational and cornerstone creations of the human mind and the human ability, intelligence, whatever you want to call it, whether so poetry is the direct product of human creativity, imagination. Otherwise, rationality does not always lead to the creation